All right.
And we're off.
Welcome back to the We Have to Wait for My Computer to Finish Updating podcast.
So we're going to do a podcast while we wait so that we can do the video games podcast.
Oh my fucking god, dude.
Here we go. What's new with you, babe?
Nothing. No, it's been good. I mentioned previously in a couple of podcasts ago that I've been taking voice acting coaching.
Yes.
Had my consultation as well as my first lesson, and things have been going well.
So what all did you do? Like, walk me through your first lesson. What was that like?
So we sit down, and she gave me, the teacher's name is Melissa Altro. She runs a Voice Pro studio. Mm-hmm. She's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Currently the voice of Muffy on Arthur.
Yes.
You told me. And she was the voice of Pippi Longstocking back in the day.
Yeah, so like,
just so lit.
Serious clout.
Yeah.
Very genuinely very good.
Like
so,
a voice actress.
Totally.
Yeah.
She took me through nonverbal voice acting. So like voice acting that doesn't involve talking.
Oh, so like falls and punches and taking hits and stuff like that.
Yes,
Like,
because it's for animation, things like sneezes or coughs or puking or
Right.
burps or whatever, right?
Right.
That was the first exercise. The first exercise, she gave me like I have the papers actually, they're upstairs, but it's a list of non-verbs, like sneezing or coughing, so on and so forth.
Right.
And like you had to do 3 different ones for everyone.
Okay.
And that was like so much fun. I had a really good time doing that.
Would you say that came to you naturally, like fairly naturally?
Yes and no. I mean, like I'm not like, how can I say this? I don't want to say that I'm confident, because at the end of the day, I do like doing voices and like making noises and being gross and shit. Like that's not like, I still don't know what it takes to be a voice actor. So I'm going into this with a mind that I'm here to learn.
For sure. But you have chops and you are constantly making noises. It's like one of my favorite and also least favorite things about you, depending on the day.
Right.
And like I personally think, and maybe I'm biased here because I love you and I believe in you, but I feel like someone could like give you like a list of nonverbal actions like sneezing, farting, puking, coughing,
right,
and say like, okay, so we're gonna run you through the gamut of all of these sounds, and I need you to come up with 3 completely different sounds for each of these actions.
Right.
And then they'd be like, okay, go. And I feel like you could do it in like a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
I feel like you have a variety of different sound, like nonverbal sounds for like any sort of like human action.
Well, thank you. I mean,
I feel like that would come to you very easily.
I wouldn't describe the exercise as difficult, but something that I was worried about was, I saw effort was one of them. Effort, like pushing something or lifting something, and it's like, well, geez, like how many times, like can I make 3 different effort noises? Like,
yeah.
But then something that was...
But you have it in you.
Something that was said to me was that, like, the noises can sound similar, but, like, length can be different, and, like, emphasis on certain parts can be different.
Right.
So, like, that's how
So, like, for coughing, you could do, like, but then you could also do, like,
yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
But then the
that
second
readout
exercise...
is something else.
After the first exercise, the second exercise, we did, it was, like, chained noises. Okay. So it was like a trip into a stumble into a fall. Like, what would that sound like?
Okay.
And stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the last one was animal noises, which,
cool.
That's just fun to do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, and then what happened after that?
That was sort of the end. We only did that one exercise.
Okay.
Because there's hour-long sessions, of course. So
okay, so there's only, that's not a lot of time.
I have to say, though, like, if this is any indication of how much fun that I'm having, like, we finished that exercise, and she was like, well, we have 5 minutes left, and I was like, really? Like, wow. I didn't feel that at all. But
wild.
yeah, I'm really, really excited to see where that goes and continue down that road.
That's awesome. I'm glad you had a lot of fun.
Maybe y'all will hear me in some children's show or something.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that one day. Mm-hmm. I think I'm over partner jealousy.
Yeah?
I think I had like the one really bad one when you were in a Fringe show, and now I'm just like, you know what?
That was your one and done?
If you have a show and you single-handedly produce moving out money, and I can move in with you and we can just like start our lives together, I'm so for it. I'm so about it.
It's
I'm
like,
so
listen,
ready.
This guy, he might drive me crazy.
But he could also get rich.
But he can make money. It's a healthy healthy relationship standard we have. No, that's really great.
Yeah.
Well,
No, but okay, so in order for me to not sound like a vapid, horrible monster,
like a fucking crazy
what
person.
I mean is that you are my partner in this life, and what your successes are my successes in a certain to an extent
I
as
agree
well.
with that. I feel the same way about you.
Yeah. Whereas, like, if your life gets better, my life gets better, and if your life gets worse, my life gets worse.
So don't fuck this up.
In like a healthy symbiotic way. My happiness does not depend on you, but like
not.
I am happy when you are happy, and I feel successful and good when you feel successful and good. I still want success for myself, but like I am also rooting for you.
Well, that makes me happy.
As my partner.
Even during like, and we talked about the Fringe time, like on a podcast episode, one of these episodes. So like, we're not going to go.
I don't know if we've published it yet.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Episode like 13 or 14 or something.
Okay.
I don't really remember.
Okay.
Long story short, we don't have to get into it, but I'm happy to hear that in the time we've grown in our relationship, that you can come to terms with the idea that, you know, we're both creatives and we're both want to be actors of all sorts of different kinds and facets, and like that might mean at one point in our life that one person's working more than the other, and that's a part of the life.
Yeah.
I don't see myself in competition with you at all.
No.
Well, I don't really believe in competition. I'm not a competitive person.
I do. I think that competition can be a good thing, but I think that the way that I viewed competition has only hurt me and not helped me.
It's not a healthy perception of competition.
Like, school is a really good example of this, where I spent a lot of time in school just feeling like I was competing against my classmates when, like, and to a certain extent, like, yeah, I kind of was, because, you know, like, I went on auditions, and the only other people auditioning were my classmates, and keep
going,
like,
I have 2 cents on that later.
Like, opportunities have been afforded to me because I proved myself more capable in certain areas than my classmates, and they got opportunities that I didn't get outside of the curriculum because of things that they could do that I couldn't do, and vice versa.
Sure.
But when I'm in school, my focus should have been on learning.
Yeah.
And gaining skills.
Yeah.
I should have been trying to gain more skills as opposed to focusing on what everybody else was doing and could do and what I couldn't do and feeling bad about that and trying to one up everybody. I should have just been learning as opposed to competing.
Right.
And that mindset that isn't always discouraged in a lot of programs, not necessarily in ours, but just in like other arts programs.
Even science and math programs are very competitive.
It's not helpful. You're in school to learn.
Of course.
So spend your time learning.
What's that thing that JRS is a professor from University of Waterloo, she goes, it was, you have nothing to prove, only to share.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for life, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, like, go back when you're talking about auditions. You're right. I agree how it's easy to get caught up in the riffraff of competition, especially in a student setting. And I guarantee that you're not the only person that felt that way. Even me, I definitely felt like I was in competition at some point. Like, it's so easy to fall into.
Yes.
But the reason why I don't consider auditions anymore to be competition is that because I don't feel ill will for anyone else in this room because they're just trying to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the way I see it is like, here's a good example. Like, I auditioned for a show that was going on in Mississauga. It was going to be a paid Shakespeare gig. And I was really excited for it. And truth be told, I didn't audition well. It was a crappy audition.
As you have.
I was really nervous, and I lost confidence in the pieces I picked, but I lost confidence like the day before. So like I was like, well, I just gotta
not good.
I gotta go with what I got, right?
Yeah,
like
not
I
good,
think
not
I'm a
good.
half decent actor. Maybe I can chop this together.
Yeah.
I didn't. But then another actor friend that I know got the part.
Okay.
And what I'm not gonna say what amazed me, but like what I realized when I saw that is I didn't feel any ill will.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this person's a great actor, and they're probably gonna do a great job.
Yeah.
So they got picked because they're the right person for
the job.
So that's what I see. I don't see it as a competition. I'm merely throwing my hat in to be like, here's what I can do, and here's what I'm capable of. I hope you pick me.
Yeah.
As opposed to be like, I'm better than all these fuckers in here. You know, like.
Yeah. I think that competition is a veneer that you can drop as soon as the audition is over.
Sure.
I think
leave it on the field mentality.
Yeah, I think competition can be a tiny nugget that fuels you to do your best.
Right.
You know, like as speaking from a performance standpoint, because there's competition in everything. I can only speak as someone who's trying to be an actor right now. And I'm trying to be a lot of things in the performing arts field right now. But
you got many toes and many pools.
Yeah. That's a gross image. I just like pictured my foot with like 12 toes on like, one foot,
like
just
spider toes,
and they're really spread out so that I can get each toe in a different pool.
This is what art is.
They're very far apart. But that's beside the point. I think that competition is a small nugget that should propel you to be the best that you can be in the performing arts, especially when you're approaching auditions. You should want to do well because you want to perform the piece well, and you want to perform well, and you want to prove to everybody in that room that you can do what you say on paper you can do.
Right.
But a little bit of fuel to your fire should be like, I know that there are other people who want the exact same thing that I want, and I need to prove that I'm the best out of all of them. Right. That's competition, and I think that's unavoidable. And I think that if you use that in a healthy way, then it can work for you.
Right.
But
that's the key, though.
Once you walk out of that room after that audition, I think you can drop it and you can say like, hey, listen, like, Eric, you're next. Perfect. Break legs in there, man.
Totally.
Like, best of luck to you.
Yeah, you're not sitting down like after Eric gets up and leaves.
I hope you trip.
Yeah, really lean over to the guy like, that guy sucks balls.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
a shitty actor.
Exactly.
Because I'll be honest with you, like we talked about this, and I think like a really, really early, like episode 2, audition stories actually. When we were talking, I told that story about that crazy audition I went to.
Yeah.
So audition room etiquette for an actor is totally a thing.
Absolutely.
Like, it's like you have to be
and
poised,
people clock it,
and you have to be polite.
Yep.
And cue for young actors out there, or tip or whatever, be nice to the reception person.
Yeah.
Because the director and the producers and the whoever talks to that person and was like, how did they treat you?
Yeah.
Because that's a big part.
No, this is absolutely true. When I was getting my most recent headshots done last year, the photographer who was taking my headshots, she used to be in casting, and we were talking while she was taking my pictures, and she was the person who would be like, okay, like so and so, they're ready for you, go in, like, and you would sign in with her and stuff like that. She used to do all that stuff, and you think that she's just like an assistant or something, but when the auditions were all said and done, she was in that room with the director and the producers and like all the other creatives who were in the audition room, and they would ask her, they'd be like, okay, so how was this person with you? Okay, well, this person was like this with me. How are they with you?
Right.
And they would like ask her, and she'd say, oh, they were late, they were douchebags, they were condescending to me, something, and they'd be like, okay, forget it.
Yeah.
And like people didn't get jobs that way because of her, because of things that she noticed about them. Like they took what she said into consideration when they were casting.
Early lesson.
It matters.
Don't be a douchebag.
Just be nice.
Well, that's another thing. Is like
I
don't want this to be misconstrued, because you don't have to be like, you don't have to like get down and suck her dick. No,
just be polite,
just cordial, and be polite.
I always like to ask.
Please and thank you.
I like to change my language, because you know how it's common to say, "Hi, how are you today?" "I'm well. How are you?" "Thank you." "I'm good, thanks." I like to expand on that a little bit more. Like I'll say, "How's your morning been so far?"
Yeah.
Something a little bit more specific.
Busy room today?
Someone will say, "Hi, how are you?" I'll be like, "Oh, I'm good. How's your morning going?" Because it's a little bit more specific, and it invites them to make a comment outside of like, "Oh, I'm well, thank you." But it's not like starting a whole conversation. You're not trapping them in an entire conversation.
Yeah.
You can kind of like, you can say like, "Oh, it's been a little stressful, but I'm getting through it," kind of thing.
Totally, yeah.
It's a little bit nicer, but it's also not like trapping you in a conversation.
The avenues of conversation are so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because something I love about, like, I don't know if this is like overtly a Canadian thing, but I do this on my job all the time.
Yeah.
Where it's like someone comes in, I ask how they're doing, they say well, and me, and I say good as well.
Yeah.
Like very rarely, or like I might say like no complaints, or like, living or whatever. Like,
yeah.
And it's all different ways to just introduce yourself to the kind of conversation you're about to have with someone.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fascinating. Especially with this, you were talking about with the reception person on an audition. What I like to do, my little go-to, is like I'll like ask them questions about how their day has been, just like you did. I'll ask them about the room. You know, I'll be like, oh, like busy room today, or like, you know, like a lot of folks come out and they're like, oh yeah, no, this and that. But then my out is always like, all right, well, I gotta go fill this out, because they always give you something to fill out. Or I'll ask, be like, anything I need to fill out?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, do over there.
Yeah.
And then you just go sit down and be quiet.
Yeah.
Like, be friendly, be polite, and then shut up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I learned that how's your morning going trick from work, because I realized that like I would not talk to a lot of customers when I was taking their groceries out to them. Because I just thought that nobody wanted to talk.
Right.
But then one day I saw my coworker, who everybody loves because she's adorable, like really, really trying to make the conversation happen. And they were like taking the bait and they were having a conversation. I was like, I'm just not trying hard enough.
People want to talk to you.
I need to give them a cue that says you can talk to me. Because they're too scared to start, both of us are too scared to start the conversation. So I, as the person who like works here and like has a duty to be friendly to you because I'm on the clock, should like start this whole
Technically,
thing.
it's in your job description.
Technically, it's the ball is in my court to start the conversation. Well, so I just need to do that.
And we talked about this, I think, as well on the podcast. But something I think is difficult about your job is that like my job, I can just lean on the product they're buying.
Yep.
Oh, it's a birthday gift.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like anniversary coming up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you excited to play this? You know, like, and like that's really
Yeah.
super easy ways to just. It also helps me do my job when they're like, oh, I'm really excited for this, and I'm also really excited for Pokemon. I can be like, oh, you got your pre-order down? You know, like stupid shit like that.
Absolutely.
But for you, when you pick up a cabbage, be like, oh,
how about this, huh?
Making coleslaw tonight? Like,
that's the thing, is that like sometimes I can find something in their order, but because groceries are also so personal,
right?
I don't want to be like getting a lot of packages of Oreos, aren't we today, Susan? And just shut up. Just leave me alone. I don't want someone to like get offended.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time it was like Christmas and somebody had placed a huge order and I was taking it out and I said, wow, you should have got a lot of groceries here today. Yeah, I got a lot of people to feed. She's like, yeah, it's Christmas. And I never saw her again. She has not come back to this day.
That
and I was like,
a click and collect thinks I'm fat.
damn it. Yeah.
It's true, man. It's true. Well,
yeah, so I have to like I got a little bit scared off by that comment, and I kind of watch what I say more now. But like I if I see something new, like we just got like fudge covered Oreos in a couple months ago, and someone ordered one, and I was like, oh my god, so like, how are these fudge covered Oreos? Are you just buying them to try them, or have you had them before? And they're like, oh my god, yeah, no, they sound so good. And like, truthfully, I was a little hungry when I placed my order, and I was like, oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah,
that's dangerous, because now you have the groceries here now, and like, and then they laugh, and well,
I love
so on and so forth.
That is every single customer service conversation. It can be summed up like that. Like,
yeah.
Hey, how about this? Like, oh, this.
Okay, have a nice day.
I'll see you later.
That's like the tonal pattern of like every
100%.
Every customer service. It's like
Okay,
like, it's like just a collection of sounds.
Totally. Like I do the same thing with people who come and buy games. They'll buy like a game I actually genuinely haven't played.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, do you know anything about this? Like, what's this about?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, have you played this yet?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yo, it's good or bad or whatever. No, my favorite thing, like, okay, as people who can probably glean from the podcast and the channel, is that like I'm really into video games. And like,
no,
I know. What a surprise. And
I thought I was the one.
It's really funny.
I thought I was the gamer girl in this scenario.
I am the gamer girl. Shout out to all the fake gamer girls out there.
Yeah.
And I've become like the source of information for my managers who aren't like, well, one of them plays like WoW and stuff. She's really into WoW. Yeah. And like she's no slouch. Like she knows about games and stuff.
Yeah.
But the other one who like, raises like 3 kids is like, she needs a little help from time to time. Mm-hmm. And every time I work with her, someone will ask her a game and be like, have you played this yet? And she'll like turn to me and be like,
he has.
Yeah, and I'll be like, well, you see. And then I just go off.
Well, that's how you got your job pretty much. Like I remember you saying when you first interviewed for your job at the video game store, they were like, they were like, okay, so like, do you know anything about video games? You're like, yeah, I play video games. And they're like, okay, so like, what do you think of the last E3 conference? And you were like, let me tell you what I think about the last E3 conference. Here are my opinions about every single major thing that happened at that conference.
Well, they announced a new Pokemon game, and I think it looks like shit. I said that to my manager. She was like, you're hired.
No, but like you gave your opinions, and they were like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like you had like an essay prepared about like everything, and like you just do that.
It's
like,
quite literally all I think about.
Since I've known you, like you watch every single like Nintendo direct, every single Nintendo Direct. When E3 happens, you were like up on all of the new releases and all of the information that's coming out of that conference.
I'd take time off during E3.
Yeah,
I want to go to E3. How cool would that be?
Now that it's open to the public for sure. Yeah, that'd be wild.
It's so sick.
Yeah. But it's like it's a conference, you know, like like you're interested in a conference, like you are into video games, you really are.
But it's kind of funny you mentioned that. Like, so I remember when they first opened up E3 to the public, and they didn't change anything about it.
Yeah.
And the people were kind of like, E3 is kind of boring.
It's not a con, it's a conference. Yeah.
It's a journalist conference.
I know that con is short for conference, but like.
No, but when you say
it's not like Anime North. It's like it's like people from the industry gather to talk about what they're doing that fiscal year.
Totally.
And like what's it gonna look like.
Exactly. And you know, but the thing is,
and to like creep out the competition and stuff.
If they didn't entertainify E3, I think if I went, I would still have a really fucking good time. Like, I would love to sit and listen to Phil Spencer talk about Xbox for an hour.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like even if it's like purely like game journalist shit, I'd be like,
yeah, you'd be into it for sure.
It's the whole time sitting there with a big smile on my face.
Yeah, I could do the same thing for like the film and TV industry. Like
totally.
I could watch an hour-long panel about like how to finance a movie. And, you know, like the really ups and downs of like financing a movie and stuff like that. Yeah. I would get lost in the math of it all, but I would still be fascinated by like how something like Black Panther got financed.
Right. Where they found that Tyler Perry found the money.
How did Tyler Perry finance the building of a studio that can fit 3 other major studios inside of it?
It's because you've been making movies.
I forget what Ava DuVernay said. Sorry, I hit my pop filter.
It's okay.
I forget what Ava DuVernay said. She said something like Tyler Perry Studios can fit Disney Studios, Paramount Studios, and I think Columbia or some other major studio inside of it, and still have like about 160 acres or something like that left over.
Right.
Like it's so big.
Yeah.
And like how did that get made? And like I was reading an article about Tyler Perry this morning, and it mentioned that the highway exit that you take, because Tyler Perry Studios has its own highway exit.
Of course.
So you drive on the highway and you exit off of Tyler Perry Studios. Because it's the size of a
small city.
And you're just at Tyler Perry Studios.
Right.
It's its own little city. It literally is like some of the built-in sets that are built there, like the houses are up to code. You can live in them.
It's effectively a municipality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that highway exit is a highway exit that he would pull off of and sleep in his car in when he was homeless and trying to make things work back in the day.
Wow.
Like, isn't that crazy?
They're gonna make
to build that empire from that beginning. Like,
Sam, I'm calling it right now. They're going to make a sick movie about Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Like a crazy biopic.
I just hope Tyler Perry doesn't make it.
Tyler Perry's Tyler Perry.
I don't want to see it.
No, I hope like Ava DuVernay makes it.
Ooh.
Or something. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But to quickly put a cap on our previous conversation about me and video games, is that like I have to control myself when I'm at work. So like because I'm so inundated in games and I read a lot
such a fucking nerd
and a big fat loser. Like when people come in and like I forget that I shouldn't say I forget. I know, but like it's easy to forget, and you have to remind yourself that like all sorts of people play video games nowadays.
Yeah. Like
video games used to be like a corner of the earth that like nerds and people who are interested in would play. Now video games are totally mainstream. Almost I would say like you'd be hard pressed to go to someone's house and see them have no video game anything. No like console, no
DS,
3D, like, nothing. If it was nothing, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Like there'd be at least something, like a Game Boy from 10 years ago. You know?
Exactly.
Anyway, so when people come in, I have to curb myself when they give me like their hot takes, and I'm like, that's a shit opinion. Yeah. That's a really.
Ooh, you know what? I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that being tough for you. I mean, it would be hard for anybody about anything that they're passionate about and like work within.
Yeah.
and then like someone comes in who is just like casually into whatever they're into and has no educated opinion about anything, and they just espouse some like bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time somebody left a survey comment in my store about my service, like the personal shopping service, because they had unfortunately gotten a unacceptable amount of bad produce.
Were they right in their complaint? Like, what was that?
I don't know. I didn't see the groceries that went out to them.
Okay.
But they wrote this novel about the bad produce that they received, and it was something like
Sam's fault.
It was like, my wife is pregnant, and we thought we would use this service to save us time, but we had bad this, that, and the other thing, and the other thing, and this thing, and it was then that we realized that this service is only an outlet for grocery stores to get rid of their bad produce and push it off on customers.
And I was like, essay,
and I was like, you literally like have your tinfoil hat on and think that you've like cracked the code. Like, you in your heart of hearts really believe that you have like cracked the code on this. And it's like, do you seriously think that like this massive grocery chain throws out hundreds of millions of pounds of food across Canada every year? Still, do you honestly think that we could get rid of all of it through this program?
No.
Are you serious? No. No, we don't.
How food works.
Exactly. Actually, I learned something interesting at work the other day, because I was watching somebody in the meat department, one of my friends in the meat department, throw out almost expired but not quite expired meat, and I was making my usual sad face, and she was like, "You know, we like send this off and it gets made into like cat food and stuff, right?" And I was like, "Oh, are you shitting me?"
Really?
Like, interesting.
I didn't know that.
So like, it's not all of it, but a percentage of the bad meat from grocery stores gets sent to and used for other things.
Right.
So like meat gets turned into pet food.
So it's not just like thrown out.
I read a thread about this a while ago, how like sometimes, and like not all grocery stores do this for sure, but like bad produce gets turned into like preservatives. So like,
okay.
You know, you send back the bad tomatoes and the bad strawberries and the bad berries and stuff like that, and it gets turned into like salsa and jam. So like they'll send bad tomatoes to Tostitos and they turn it into salsa.
Wow.
And then they like send the like almost bad or like mushed up like berry, like raspberries and strawberries and stuff to like Smuckers, and they'll turn it into like jams and stuff like that.
Is it, in your opinion then, is it worth saying that groceries that go bad aren't inedible?
No.
They're just not desirable.
They're just not beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a couple of weeks ago.
We take a cosmetic approach to food, right?
Of course.
Like,
look at food marketing, the way they spray paint shit.
If you're like looking through if you're looking through like a bunch of raspberries at the grocery store and you find one and there's no mold in it, there's nothing to insinuate that it's inedible, but there's a squished raspberry at the bottom, most people won't take that box. They'll keep looking for a perfectly intact box of raspberries.
I look for mold in those things because mold pops up all over that shit.
And once one berry goes moldy, the whole package is ruined.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Well, that's actually
like
the truth.
Like mold travels, like mold spores travel through the air, and like once it's in a package, like the rest of the berries are compromised. That much is true. I don't blame consumers for not picking up berries for that.
No.
But if a berry is smushed, like I get comments on orders all the time saying like, no squished berries, please.
That's impossible.
They won't take them.
Like
it's yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, it's possible because I do it every day.
Right.
But
right.
Like, it's hard. It definitely makes things take a while. I hate it when people ask for more than one case of strawberries because it's like, it's so hard to find a perfect container of strawberries. Now you want me to find 2? I'm going to be here forever.
You know what I'm thinking about, Sam?
What?
I would love for someone to go through our stuff and do a compilation of how many times we've had this exact conversation.
I know.
Talking about our jobs and shit.
I know. We gotta stop complaining about our jobs. But
well, it's like, it's such a large part of our everyday life, unfortunately. Yeah. So it's just sort of what we have to talk about.
Yeah.
But how was your week then? What's your week been like?
My week was tough and shitty.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about what happened?
I got in a car accident.
And she's okay.
Everyone's fine.
The other guy will never walk again. But
no, he's
but
fine.
He hit you, so fuck him.
He was driving a flatbed tow truck, so he's fine.
He towed you away.
Yeah, so this is gonna be hard to explain like via audio because not everybody has roundabouts where they live. But by my house there are 2 roundabouts, and
large roundabouts too.
They're not large. They're like 2 lanes.
What are the bigger roundabouts I've seen?
2 lanes.
Well, 2 lanes, but they're huge. Like they're physically large.
They replaced intersections.
2 big intersections. So yeah.
But yeah. So there's these 2 roundabouts by my house, and I was coming home down the street, went through the first roundabout, and there was apparently an accident coming out of one side of the roundabouts, and traffic was backed up. So I go through the first roundabout. Get into the second roundabout, traffic's backed up because of problems in the first roundabout, and I'm like crawling to my exit, and I signal, I'm in the internal lane, I'm in the very inside lane, because I had to exit the roundabout going left. Just look up roundabouts and like how you exit left in a roundabout.
Long story short, Sam was doing everything she needed to do to get out.
I was in the inside lane and traffic was crawling, but I crawled to my exit, signaled that I was exiting, went to pull out, and a flatbed tow truck was in the outside lane it had just come off the highway and like pulled into the roundabout and like clipped my passenger side headlight. And ruined my Magoo, my 96 Toyota Corolla.
He's 25 years old, as old as you are.
He's 23.
23.
Because 96.
Okay,
so I'm 94.
A year younger than I am.
2 years, yeah, 2 years younger than I am.
So yeah, man, like that car was a trooper.
I mean, the fact that I was about to go into the winter with it again. And like there were no like the car is probably done now because it's just so I mean I'm still waiting to hear back from the insurance company, but the fact that there were no mechanical issues with that car when it got into the accident, and that it's purely just like another truck hitting it that takes it out of commission is a testament to that car. And I'm considering getting a new car. It's a huge expense, but I'm considering it.
Yeah,
and
so if
when I do get a new car, it will be a Toyota if I can help it. Like my family has had really good times with Toyotas.
You can leave your car with the keys in the ignition at my house and I will give it to Sam. So if you want to donate your car, leave it at the address on the screen.
Well, the name of this episode is just your address.
Yeah, really. 123 Real House Lane.
Yeah. So it's been a bummer. I, like anybody who gets into a car accident, feel as though I am not at fault. I truly think I was not at fault though, because the way roundabouts work is that
you were hit.
First of all, I got hit, so like I didn't cause the accident. Second of all, I was inside the roundabout. Cars that are in the roundabout have the right of way. That's
100%.
That's how roundabouts work.
You also signaled and have a witness.
Third of all, I signaled. Fourth of all, I have a witness who told me that he will back me up if I ever need a witness for any sort of insurance thing at all, and like swears up and down that it was not my fault. Ironically enough, a different tow truck driver was my my witness. Yeah.
No way.
Like I was pissed off when I first pulled over and just like tried to like get the information, and like the guy who was my witness, the nice man who showed up, I was like, "Are you the one that hit me?" Because it was a tow truck, and he got out of a tow truck, and I was like, "Are you the driver?" And he was like, "No, I just saw what happened." And then I was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "So then what's that tow truck doing here?" He was like, "That's my truck." And I was like, "So let me get this straight. A different tow truck driver just saw me get into an accident right now?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, I just want to make sure."
Little did we know that tow truck driver has a fierce rivalry with the tow truck driver that hit you.
Well,
I'm taking Mike to the fucking ground.
So the tow truck driver that hit me was a flatbed. So like he transports like large vehicles. This was like
you got hit by a big car.
Yeah, I did.
Damn.
Yeah.
Scary.
And then this guy was just like a commercial tow truck driver. Like he towed my car. That's what he does.
Wow.
He tows things like my car.
Amazing.
Whereas the guy who hit me tows like semis. So yeah, it definitely was not my fault.
I don't think anyone
But
thinks it's your fault.
the fact that I don't have a car right now makes me feel like I did something wrong.
Right, like you're being punished.
Yeah, like I'm being punished in a way for something that I didn't do, and it's just it's not the best feeling in the world. And like my car was my independence. Like I could go anywhere whenever I wanted to in the most convenient way with that car, and now I can't. And like I knew that when I had the car, and I was very appreciative. The way that I came into my car was very lucky in the sense that like it was my mom's car, and then my grandma stopped driving, so my mom took her car, and my mom technically had two cars. The Corolla was still my mom's car, but she let me drive it whenever because she had my grandma's old car.
Right.
So like that doesn't happen. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't have a car, and I would still be like sharing the Corolla with my mom, and I'd be at the mercy of my mom's schedule because she has first dibs on everything. And I got very lucky that things worked out the way that it did, and I was aware of that. But now I am just sort of
SOL.
Now I'm just sort of living the inconvenience that I knew my life would be had I never had that car. And it just kind of sucks.
Very poetic.
Yeah.
Well, you know what the most important thing is, Sam?
Is that I'm alive.
Is that you're alive. And I know you just did a dumb voice and rolled your eyes, but if you weren't sitting here on this couch with me, we wouldn't be able to do this podcast.
I know.
I would be very sad.
I know.
I'd be talking to an empty couch spot right now.
You'd still do it every week, and you would just Norman Bates it and just like pretend that you were talking to me.
Episode 42, and I'm like, welcome back to the Chill Spot podcast. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But we get to joke about it because you lived.
Exactly. That and like roundabouts are not super popular in North America.
No.
When they get put in, people tend to bemoan them and complain,
freak out,
and
forget how to drive,
and get upset. I mean, like the fact that they truthfully forget how to drive because look at me, I got hit because somebody didn't know and didn't respect the rules of the roundabout. However, I have heard that one of the major motivators for cities to put in roundabouts is because, like, yes, you're not relieved of accidents happening in them, but the accidents that do happen aren't fatal.
Yeah.
People don't get T-boned in roundabouts. It's impossible.
Safer than intersections and four-way stops.
They're what do you call them? Slow impact accidents or something like that.
They're also more efficient on gas.
Exactly. So
they are actually great. Like roundabouts are great.
Like the fact that I got hit by a flatbed tow truck and
wasn't demolished.
I don't even have whiplash, because I was going at such a slow speed. I felt like an asshole, but it was really, I was telling the truth. When I was at the accident reporting center, the lady was like, okay, so how fast were you driving? And I was like, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I was going like 5 kilometers an hour because traffic was backed up inside the roundabout.
You were crawling.
And I was just starting to accelerate. So I couldn't have been going more than I couldn't have been going more than 10 kilometers an hour.
Right.
And that's because of the way that the roundabouts are built. And had I been in an intersection, it may have been a different story. So, I got in an accident in a roundabout, but because of the way that the roundabout was built, the way that my city built them, and the thought process that the urban planners in my city had, I was able to get into a very low impact accident. And my car is still operational.
Yeah.
If it weren't,
works.
I can't legally drive it because it doesn't have a headlight and the bumper is falling off now. But like,
you could,
like the engine turns on,
right?
So
you get some weird looks, but it works.
Exactly. So, I'm grateful that of all the places in all the world for me to get in that kind of accident and be in that situation, it was in a roundabout so that it was low impact and I could stand to get out of my car. And everybody was okay.
Shout out to a car like Magoo for being 23 years old and working at all.
Yeah.
Like, you're seriously, Sam, I don't know any other person who's owned a vehicle for that long. And I have more problems in my 2012 Chrysler than you do with your fucking 23-year-old, like, what kind of car
Clown car.
I actually don't even know. We call him Magoo. I don't know what the model and make is.
I don't know,
Well, it's a 93 something.
Corolla.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the brand. That's the model of the car.
That's what I was
Corolla.
asking.
The Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Toyota doesn't even make cars like that anymore. I stick with Toyota because like my family has had really good luck with Toyotas. My grandma, my aunt, my cousin, and my mom have all owned Matrixes, and they have all done them really, really well.
It's a good car.
And this Toyota worked great for however many years, and Yeah, no complaints there. But back in the 90s, like they made cars to last a little bit more because they were less in tune to the idea of like if you make things that break, people have to buy them again.
Right. The Apple mentality of like, let's make phones that work really well for 2 years exactly and then start working
and
like
then start
shit.
crapping out. For sure.
No, that's actually like deterioration is designed into
Key.
modern technology.
Yeah.
Like,
and for that, I'll miss Magoo a lot because he was just so reliable.
like, fuck, man. I got, like, don't get me wrong. I love my car. My 2012
Yeah.
Chrysler. It's a Chrysler 200, I believe. It's a beautiful car. It's such a generous gift from my parents. Like, I could not be more appreciative of my vehicle because the alternative is to not have one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy that I'm fortunate enough and privileged enough to have one
Yeah.
for sure. But I had that car for 3 months and I was driving on the highway.
Yeah.
And I felt my steering wheel like jerking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just for a second. I didn't like let go of the steering wheel, but
Yeah.
I went like just like loose the grip a little bit.
Yeah.
My steering wheel was going
Like jumping up and down.
And I'm like, that's not normal.
right.
Like, what's that all about? Turns out my axle on one of my wheels was like grounded down to almost nothing. And like Joe, my mechanic, who's like the coolest dude ever. He worked on my grandpa's car when he was still living.
Yeah.
And like such a nice guy, gives us such good prices.
Okay.
Go see Joe if you live in Mississauga.
Yep. The axle, babe.
So he's basically just said like, if this got any worse, like your wheel will have fallen off. And I was like, wow, shit.
Yeah.
I just bought this car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus Magoo, who's been like going strong for like.
Well, I told you how
40
how my
years.
mom found Magoo, right?
No.
So my mom bought Magoo when my parents were in the midst of separating because my dad was like,
She needed something to be good.
well, my dad was like, listen, like you're gonna keep this house. I'm gonna move back to Toronto. Like I'm not gonna fight you on the house, but like, can I have the car or can I have the van? We were driving a minivan at the time.
Nice.
He's like, can I have the van so that I can like get around Scarborough and like without any problems? Like I need a van to get around right now for my job. And my parents' divorce was fairly amicable, so my mom was like, fair.
That's a pretty
no
reasonable
problems.
thing.
I don't, if it's just gonna be me and Sam, I don't want a minivan anyways. It's not you. If you want to take on the gas of a minivan, like by all means, go ahead.
I thought minivans are supposed to be efficient.
But like you still have to fill up a minivan.
Right.
When you fill it up, you have to fill up a minivan with gas.
I guess so.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like.
anyway.
So she was like, I will find something with a smaller gas tank, something that makes more sense for a single woman and a 16-year-old to own. So my Uncle Ken knew somebody through work whose mother was selling her car because she was old and had stopped driving.
Right.
And when they found Magoo, it was like frozen to the ground. Like my mom bought it but couldn't have it until the spring because it literally had to thaw off of the ground.
It's like a caveman. You fucking bought a caveman.
Like she'd stopped driving for a while and only used the car to go back and forth to the grocery store and like never drove it anywhere else really.
A Neander car.
Yeah. And it had I forget how many miles it had on it at the time, but it didn't have a lot of mileage on it. Like,
well, of course, it was owned by an old woman.
Yeah,
so like,
she drove it like 5 kilometers and back.
Maybe, yeah.
Like once a week, like that doesn't put a lot of miles on it. So
it's effectively brand new.
Yeah, so and like she had the winter tires and like came with the car. Like it was kismet.
What?
Kismet, like meant to be, like.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
Yeah, like.
Well, is that from something? Is that from like a?
No, it's a
certain
saying.
language?
It's just a saying. I mean, it's from something. Everything is from something, but like this is a phrase. So yeah, so like he was kind of like a wonder car. Like she bought it for super cheap, and it's this car that, it was old, but its body was in good condition. Like she got winter tires out of it. Got it at a fair price because she got it through a friend of a friend. Like. And then it just worked really, really well. Like he never had any sort of like major mechanical malfunctions to him.
Yeah, it's a good car.
A lot of the work that we had to have done on him that cost any sort of money was just due to other people doing shit to the car. Hitting it in a parking lot or like bumping the back of us when I was like 16 and I just got my license, or 17 or 18 when I got my G2 and was like driving by myself with a friend, and somebody rear-ended me, but not enough to actually cause any damage. It was just sort of a bump.
Yeah. That's actually so that's something.
Yeah, like it was just I don't know, like he's just the best.
Well, rest in peace to Magoo.
Yeah, I love
hopefully
that
there'll be a
car.
Magoo V2.
Yeah,
Electric Boogaloo at some point.
we'll see.
That actually kind of reminds me when I was younger. When I first got my G2, I was driving around with a couple friends. Stephen Redacted.
Yeah.
I was leaving this plaza where it was like you can go right or left, but the left was made for incoming traffic. You actually couldn't exit because there was a separation on the road.
Yeah.
So you can only exit right. You enter left, exit right.
Okay.
So I went into the left lane thinking I could exit, and then being like, oh shit, I can't.
Yeah.
So I like reversed out, but I wasn't very good at reversing.
Yeah.
So I hit a sign. I hit like a post that bent the shit out of the sign, like scratched up the side of the car.
Yeah.
Luckily, there was no like panel damage, so like it wasn't really a big deal.
Yeah.
But I went back to that plaza. We frequently go back to that plaza.
Yeah.
And that sign is still fucked
bent
up.
out of shape. That's
like
funny.
to this day, it's still fucked up.
That's funny.
Well, so was losing Magoo? Was that your first like major car accident?
Yeah.
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 Have you ever been in like small ones before?
Well, there was the aforementioned one that I just said where like I was driving with my friend Emily. We were like 17, 18, something like that. I must have been around 18 because we were still in high school. And I was turning left in an intersection, and somebody who was trying to go straight was like in the left turn lane for some dumbass reason.
Oh, I'm just gonna.
I don't think it was an official left turn lane. I think it was one of those ones where you're like you can turn left,
right?
Or
but
you
people
can go
who
straight.
need to turn left have to be in this lane.
So this guy was obviously going straight, and I'm like turning left and about to like enter the intersection, and we feel this like whoom, and like we're like thrown forward in our seats and like fall back, and we were like, what the fuck is that? And this car like peels off from behind us and like goes away.
No way, they hit and ran you?
And I was like, absolutely the fuck not. And I like Fast and Furious,
oh my God,
like
you
chased after them, and like
that's
lost,
really dangerous.
but like lost them. I like lost them after a while, and I pulled over, and got out of the car and like looked at the back, and I was like, nothing's wrong. Like,
yeah,
the bumper's fine, the muffler's fine. And I looked at Emily and I was like, are you okay? Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, are you okay? And I was like, I'm okay. And I was like, okay, like
let's go home.
I can still drive this car, and the guy's gone.
Yeah,
like
he peeled
I
away.
lost him. Like I can't do any, like I can't exchange information. Like I knew what to do, but I couldn't do it because he was literally gone. So I drove back home and told my mom, and she like made me go to the reporting center and like made me report it.
Mom.
But like nothing happened. They took pictures of the car, and even the person looked a little like pissed off that they had to like do due process for something that clearly was not an issue.
The other guy did show up.
No.
Oh.
We still have to go to the reporting center
I see what
though
you
and
mean.
like
the
say that I got
person
hit.
Was, okay.
Yeah.
You're referring to the person who was at the reporting. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, those are the best kind of the best kind of accident.
Yeah.
I was driving in Toronto one time with my brother Duncan.
Yeah.
We were going to Brad's birthday party. And Toronto being Toronto, we were driving around, and this cab came like quite literally out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Like they were turning left out of an intersection or like a plaza.
Something, yeah.
And like was cutting through traffic, like literally had like interrupted
like
traffic.
Toronto cabs do.
Yeah, like they were like driving like a maniac.
Yeah.
So I was driving, and Duncan was like, oh shit, look out. And I look over, and this cab came out of nowhere, and I swerved, and our bumpers just went like poof, and like we both put off to the side, and like he got out. I'm like, are you okay, sir? He's like, I'm fine, are you okay? We're like, okay, cool. And we looked at the cars, and like just like your story, like literally no damage.
Yeah.
And like we looked at the damage, looked at each other. I'm like, I shook his hand.
Yeah.
You have a nice night.
Yeah.
And we got back in the car and drove away.
You walk away. Yeah. All right, boys, let's fade away.
Yeah.
Just fade away, boys.
Listen, this is the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Let's just continue with our night.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's really great when that happens, but it's not often.
Yeah.
It's not often when that happens.
Yeah. Look at my life. That literally happens once. But the guy got out of the car and tried to say that, like, I hit his axle. And I because I'm smart, like, I was like, listen, I'm not interested in blame. Let's just get each other's information and, like, get to the reporting center so we can all just go home tonight.
You hit his axle? He hit you.
Again, wasn't saying this in the moment, but later on, when I'm like telling the story, I'm like, do you honestly think that my 96 Toyota Corolla did any sort of damage going less than 10 kilometers an hour in a roundabout to your flatbed tow truck, buddy,
Which was
you are
probably made
fucked in the head.
in the last decade.
You are seriously fucked if you
Yeah.
think that my little tiny clown car did anything to your flatbed industrial tow truck.
Magoo is like made of paper mache at this point.
Get out of here
There's
with
no
that.
fucking way.
Get out of here. It is pure luck that this car looks the way that it does before you hit it.
Yeah.
You know, like pure luck.
It's true.
You know, I see the occasional 96 Corolla out on the road, actually. Like, I'll see, like, my car, and it's in way worse condition than mine is. It is
Bumper
pure luck that
falling
my
off,
car
like,
looks this way.
2 wheels. It's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
scraping on the ground.
You are an industrial working vehicle. Fuck you, mate. Fuck off. No way.
Well, that goes into our lessons for the day. Early lesson number 1 was don't be a douchebag.
Yeah.
Like this cocksucker.
Yeah.
Be a douchebag. Lesson number 2,
Yeah.
don't get in car accidents. Try your hardest not to get in car accidents.
Lesson number 2, everybody inside of the roundabout has the right of way in a roundabout situation. So don't enter a roundabout until everything is clear.
Lesson number 2 is if you see a gridlocked roundabout, don't enter the roundabout.
Yeah.
It's that easy, folks.
Yeah.
It's that easy. What's the
Exactly.
third lesson for today?
Third lesson for the day, we were talking about
Subscribe to Chill Spot.
that's always the nonverbal fourth lesson.
I was about to say
day.
that's the secret fourth lesson.
Let's say third lesson of the day is we'll take it back to like acting in the industry and stuff like that. Be nice to everyone that you see in an audition room because
Totally.
you never know who could sway whether or not you get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, just like always, folks, we'll be here again next week, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Up on YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. The whole fucking everything.
Technically, Apple Podcasts is iTunes.
You can listen to us on your goddamn TI-83 calculator. We are on everything
Yes.
now, and you have no excuse.
Yes.
No excuse.
Yeah.
No excuse.
Yeah. Bust out your yellow Discman. You can listen to us there.
Get out your Zune.
Yeah.
Download the MP3s of the Chill Spot podcast.
Put us on your Zune.
Oh, it's all bit crushed and shit.
Oh my god. But yeah.
Yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do lots of gaming stuff there. More videos,
Yep.
more podcasts on the way.
Yep.
Tell your friends about us. Tell your mom about us.
Yeah. Tell your mom about us so that it's not just our moms listening to the podcast.
Yeah. Get at least. Actually, there's a handful of moms who listen to our podcast.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Shout out to my mom's friends.
Yep.
And
Love
we
y'all.
will see you guys
Next
next time. Bye.